as you're going on your journey,
Yeah.
there are dark moments in your journey, there are lit moments in your journey.
Sure.
And when those dark moments came, were you able to acknowledge that, number one, I'm not okay, but also this is the real question is, when did you find happiness and what was it?
Yeah, I got to the place of acknowledging like, yo, I'm not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as a man, that's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
To get to a place not only where you're not okay, but you're okay to admit that you're not okay.
For sure.
So yes, I got to that place of like, yo, I'm not all right. And that was part of the catalyst to want me to retrace my steps. Well, what happened? Where did this come from? You know, and this idea, you know, I talk about this in my one-man show. You know, like this idea that growing up, what was really emphasized to me was to be a good boy. You know, be a good boy, be a good boy, be a good boy. And so what happened is I interpreted that as being my thing to be a good boy is to keep everybody happy. Right? And as long as I'm getting patted on the back and as long as I'm getting affirmed, then I'm going to be a good boy. And as long as people tell me I'm a good boy, I'm good.
Yeah.
But what I realized is like, no, actually I'm not, because it's one thing to be a good boy. It's another thing to be a grown man. And for me, I had to learn the difference between the two. And part of me acknowledging, hey, I'm not okay, was me reconciling that I was still trying to be the good boy as a grown man.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, here's what my needs are, here's what I need, here's what I would like, instead of being okay with that, I'm over here trying to people please and make everybody, you know, happy. And as a result, I wasn't happy. So when you talk about happiness, happiness really started with making the decision that I'm gonna take my time to get through this.
Right.
And I'm going to be okay with some days, you know, having that darkness, some days having that frustration, some days just having that rage and that anger. Yet that's the process of happiness. Because sometimes we just think of happiness as like, oh, it's just this joyous feeling. And it's like, no, you can actually be happy when you realize where that happiness has grown from.
Yeah.
So it was through the process of healing that happiness began to not only take root, but it began to bloom. And what did happiness look like? Peace. A inner peace that I can sit anywhere and be good. That was not my reality years ago because I needed to achieve. I needed to, you know, have this movie or this thing or that thing to feel worthy, to feel like I'm a man, to feel like I'm Devon. I gotta achieve. You know, I talk about it in my show. Like I was an achievement addict where I needed a hit of achievement for me to feel, ooh,
That
okay.
was the high.
That was the high. That was the high. But now going through what I've been through and the process that I've committed to, the happiness comes from just the peace.
Yeah.
Like, and then what happens for me, and I believe this is anyone, when you find that inner peace, when you find that happiness, when you find that joy and that contentment within, then the achievements grow out of that.
Wow.
So right now, yes, I'm living in a season of a lot of achievements, but none of them fulfill me or I identify with them in a way where I need them to be happy.
Yeah.
If anything, the things that are happening right now are an extension of that inner happiness.
So I hear you mention, and obviously, you know, your team kind of spoke about it, but I'm curious to kind of hear this from you, what your expectation is and what has been kind of the Yelp reviews from your one-man show, right? These confessionals, these experiences that fans may witness, you know, with these experiences, what have you seen and what do you look forward to doing?
Yeah, man, you know, well, first of all, doing the one-man show was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Why?
Why? Because I'm on a stage and it's just me. And if it don't go well, there's no cut.
Yeah.
There's nobody else coming.
Let's start.
Right.
Running from the top. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's just me. So one, that was terrifying. Two, you know, I wrote it as well. And writing it basically, you know, covers my journey from divorce to remarriage. And having to unpack and package what I went through in a way that I can articulate it to an audience, you know, it was extremely difficult. Yet what I loved about it is the experience was not only cathartic for me, but for everyone that came. You know, 2 packed nights, houses in New York. And Pete, thank you. And people, I mean, they laughed with me, they cried with me, they talked back to the stage. They were just like, yo, we with you, you know, because it's all about the one-man show is called Be True. You know, and that is to me what it's about. It's like, we gotta be true. And that was what the journey that I needed to go on.
Yeah.
I needed to go from like being the achievement addict to living a truthful life, being comfortable being me. And so the response has been, you know, phenomenal. I mean, just like we talk about the Yelp reviews, the people that came, you know, talk about it's one of the best shows that they've seen. Because it's the rawest I've ever been.
Wow.
You know, I mean, I talk about, you know, there's some moments in the show where I use some cursing to explain it. Like, here's how I felt, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about those dark moments, I mean, there are moments in this show where I bring people into that hotel room, into what happened when I was sitting on that chair looking out over Sunset Boulevard. The thoughts that went through my mind, like, you know, how did I get here? And the language that came up when I thought about it, you know? So it's the most riveting, it's the most raw I've ever been, it's the most honest I've been. And to be able to be on that stage and to be vulnerable, that to me was a major accomplishment.